Welcome to another Incubate show. Today we're going to talk about a very exciting new program that has been introduced in July of 2015 by British Columbia on a PNP level or a Provincial Nominee Program level. The BC PNP program that we're going to discuss today is related to entrepreneurship or business immigration. So you invest in a specific business in British Columbia, you actively manage that business, so you're investing and managing for a certain period of time, and that will qualify you to receive permanent residency in Canada, assuming you meet the program requirements, and then later on you meet all the obligations for the new BC PNP program. What's really interesting about the new BC PNP program is it is now a points-based system. So for you, those of you that are familiar with the new express entry points-based system for the skilled federal worker scheme, this is the same concept. So don't think about it as an on and off switch. I'm in or I'm out. Think about it as a pool of applicants that all come in. They score a certain number of points on each one of the requirements of the program, and then each candidate will receive a total amount of points. These amount of points will pretty much be converted into a score that will be assigned to that candidate, and then the candidate will enter a system and will be ranked against other applicants, other business investors that will then be able to be picked or drawn from that pool based on the qualifications of that person and the amount of points that were gathered or achieved by the profile that was selected. So similarly to the express entry system, the BC PNP system has two milestones. First, you have to register. You have to show your intent to want to invest and immigrate and reside in BC. Once that's done, the final outcome from that phase is to receive a certain number of points. Then phase two starts. You're sitting in a pool competing against other candidates in the same category, in the same industry, and then you get selected. You get an invitation to apply. That's when you submit your application, your PNP application, and then you continue your process till the day you receive your permanent residency. This is very different than the old system where you would just go ahead and apply for permanent residency under a BC PNP program, and then you'll be able to get selected based on the available quota for that month, that quarter, that year. So, how does the program work? What's the process? What are the requirements? That's what we're going to be discussing in the next points that we'll go over now. The BC PNP program is split into 4 or 5 different buckets. Each one of these buckets will determine the number of points you're going to be receiving, and then all that collaboratively will give you a certain score that will enter into the pool in the industry that you're selecting. There are personal requirements or personal level requirements, there are business level requirements, there are adaptability points, and there are other things. But there are minimum requirements for you to be able to even apply, or for you to be able to be eligible to show your intent to apply. From a personal perspective, the minimum net worth of the person needs to be 600,000 Canadian dollars. Now, net worth is assets or total assets minus total liabilities. So you take everything you own in terms of cash, gold, bonds, real estate, lands, and you take all that, and then you subtract all your debt, any loans that you have, any money that you owe other people, and then that becomes your net worth. So the minimum net worth that you need to have in order to be eligible to apply for the BC PNP program is 600,000 Canadian. From the $600,000, you need to invest the minimum of $200,000 into your own business, because this is an entrepreneur level program. This is not an inactive management system. So you have to actually do the investment and do the management. So your net worth is $600,000. The minimum investment that you have to make is $200,000. Now, the next step up is the business ownership. You have to own a minimum of 33.3% of the business, whether it is going to be a brand new business you're going to establish by yourself, with a partner, or if you're going to be acquiring an existing business or investing into an existing business right now, that you're going to take it from the level that it's in, whether it is as a troubled business or just requires nurturing, and then enhance that business in a certain level where the requirement can prove that your substantial investment make a difference in that business. The next requirement is the job creation. You have to generate a minimum of one full-time job, so one full-time employee, through your investment for the duration of this program. So your net worth, your investment, and the one job that you have to create through the investment will be able to give you the entitlement of applying or being eligible to apply for the BC PNP Entrepreneurship Program. So, assuming you are qualified to apply, there are some certain things you need to understand about the BC PNP program. This is an active management system. You have to be involved on a daily operations. Every single day, you actually have to be making decisions for your business. This is not an inactive scheme. The second thing you need to understand is your physical presence. You have to be in BC minimum of 75% of the time. Yes, you can travel, you can go back and forth, you can do whatever you want, but at the end of the day, 75% of your time have to be spent inside BC. Your physical location. You have to be located within 100 kilometers radius from where your business location is going to be. So you cannot invest in BC and live in another province or go live in another city that is outside of 100 kilometers of where your business is. Now, what's really interesting about this as well is the fact that there are absolutely no English or French requirements, so no language requirements, and there are no restrictions when it comes to age. Now, when I say there are no requirements or there's no minimum required, you need to also understand that this is a points-based system. Meaning, just because you're entitled to apply or just because you're eligible to apply, it doesn't mean that you don't want to work hard at a specific category. There are points that are going to be assigned to you for each and every single one of these different factors. Yes, there is no English requirement, there is no French language requirement, there is no language requirement at all. But if you do speak a certain level of English or French, that will get you more points. Same thing with your age. If you fall within a specific age range, you could potentially get more points. So yes, there are no minimum requirements, but it helps if you do speak the language, and it helps if your age is within a certain range when it comes to the program requirements. Now, we spoke about the net worth. The way that net worth gets calculated is going to be a two-step process. You're going to submit an application at the beginning, you're going to register for the system, and then after a while, once you get to the point where you get an invitation to apply, then you actually have to go to something called a qualified supplier. A qualified supplier, there's going to be a list of these entities that are authorized by the government for them to be able to check your net worth. So you claimed a few things on a application of registration when you first entered into the system, and then now it's the verification process. So only a qualified supplier authorized by the government will be able to match these claims and approve them, and then give you a final net worth a verification report that you can take and give it to the government to proceed with your application. So, what's the scoring system, how does it work, what are the different points, etc., etc. The point scoring system for BC PNP is based on a maximum of 200 points. So 200 points is the maximum you can achieve. There is no minimum overall score that you have to achieve. There is, on the other hand, a minimum amount of points that you have to score for each and every single one of the different factors. So there are 6 different factors. You have to go through them, and there are minimum requirements or minimum points that you have to score for you to be able to be eligible to apply, but there is no minimum overall score that you have to achieve. Okay, so what are the points, what are the different factors for you to be able to achieve as much as you can from the 200 maximum points for this program? Experience, net worth, personal investment, the job creation, adaptability, and the last thing is the business concept. These are the 6 factors that are going to be considered to get you your final score in BC PNP. The maximum amount of points for experience is 24. The maximum amount of points you can get from your net worth is 12. Personal investment, 30. Job creation is 36. Adaptability is 18. Business concept is 80. And then the total is 200. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning these points is I want to demonstrate a very important point. If you change the order of these 6 factors, you'll notice that the most influential point system is going to be based on the business concept. That's the highest amount of points that you can generate through your profile or through your application. The second largest number is the job creation. So the number of jobs your business brief or your business plan is going to demonstrate as you apply. After that is going to be your personal investment, how much money you're going to invest. The higher the amount is, the more points you're going to receive. Then your business or your management experience will allow you to get the next points, then the adaptability, and then finally your net worth. So here you need to start focusing on the points where you can potentially have the minimum score through that while maintaining the minimum for each one of these categories. So the minimum amount for experience is 8 points. So 8 out of 24. Now, when it comes to 8, what does that mean? The minimum requirement when it comes to experience for BC PNP is the following. 3 years of business ownership experience, or 4 years of management experience, or a combination of both. Here, if you meet the minimum, you're going to achieve your 8 points. The more experience you have, the higher your score is going to be. But assuming you have 3 years of 3 years of business ownership experience, or 4 years of management experience, you're going to achieve your 8 points for this factor. Next is your net worth. As we discussed, your net worth needs to be at a minimum of $600,000 Canadian. If you have that, you're going to receive 1 point, which is the minimum amount of points you need out of the 12. The higher your net worth, the higher points you're going to be receiving. So here, you just need to achieve 1 point, which is the minimum for net worth. Next is the personal investment. The minimum points for the personal investment is 6 points. How do you achieve these 6 points? By investing $200,000 Canadian. The higher the investment amount, the more points you can go, up to 30 points. The next factor is job creation. The minimum number of points, or the minimum score you have to achieve is 2 points. How do you achieve these 2 points? By, like we said, by hiring 1 full-time employee for the duration of the program. The more employees you hire, the higher your score is going to be, up to 36 points. Next is going to be your adaptability. Now, adaptability, there is no minimum score with one condition. Adaptability means your age, level of English command that you have, any other factors that you can transfer, so like transferability of your skills to Canada or the Canadian workforce or the Canadian investment force. And then based on that, you'll be receiving a certain amount of points with a maximum of 18. Now, yes, there is no minimum requirements for adaptability, but there is one condition: to have 3 years of business ownership experience. If you don't have 3 years of business ownership experience, let's say you have 4 years of management experience, but you never owned a business before, then you need to have a minimum education level that you need to meet in order for you to be able to have the requirement for the eligibility for the adaptability. The next is the business concept. The minimum amount of points that you have to have is 32 points out of 80. That is the minimum that you can have right there. And then we will discuss about how these 32 points come into play and what different factors are going to be considered. Now, in experience, when we said that you have to have the 3 years of business ownership or the 4 years of management experience, that needs to be in the past 10 years from the day you apply. You go backwards 10 years. So in the past 10 years, any experience that you have gained before the 10 years is not going to be counted towards your management or business ownership experience. When it comes to the adaptability or the education aspect of things, if you score 0 on your education, so you don't have any education at all, like we said, you need to prove that you have 3 years of management, the business ownership experience. And if it's not, if you actually have, let's say, a university degree, or if you have like a bachelor, if you have like a master's or whatnot, that will compensate for the business ownership. So you can potentially have, let's say, 4 years of management experience and a bachelor degree. That will substitute for the 3 years of business ownership, and then it would fall under the adaptability points that you could potentially achieve. The business concept now. So I need to prove that I have a business that I'm going to invest in. I will manage myself, actively manage it, and then through that I'm going to generate a one-job full-time employee, and I'm going to be able to submit a minimum amount of investment of $200,000, and I am proving that I have $600,000 as net worth. What are the characteristics of this business that could qualify me to apply under BC PNP? 3 things: the commercial viability of that business, the transferability of your skills, and the economic benefits of the business you're going to implement. So let's talk about the commercial viability. How likely is that business to succeed? You need to prove in your business plan that this is going to be a good business for the following reasons. I have unique services. I have new products. I'm adopting a new technology. I am branching out for a franchise that's very successful. I'm just going to a new location. You need to show the viability of the plan and the viability of the business that you're going to be investing in or starting. Next is the transferability skills. There's a specific industry that you're going to be under in your business, and then you have your experience and your background. Do they match? Your skills from your past, would you be able to carry them over for the future and be able to transfer these skills to the business, the location, and the province that you're going to be applying in? The next thing is the economic benefit. Great, the business is successful. What's the benefit for the local economy? What are you going to do for the local economy? Are you going to nurture it? Are you going to generate more jobs? Are you going to have an impact on the environment that you're in? The location that you're going to be starting your business in. Is it going to be a remote location? How much competition do you have? The way that the BC PNP program works is the following. The location of your business will determine how many points you're going to be receiving based on the business concept. The less population in the area that you're going to be investing in, the more points you're going to receive. So if you want to invest in Vancouver, Vancouver's got a very high population versus you go into another city that has less population and less. If you go after a specific location with less population, you'll receive more points. The higher the population, the lower amount of points you're going to be receiving. So you need to select the business, the type of the business, the industry of the business, the uniqueness of the business, the products products and the services you're going to be working with, and also the location of where the business is going to be located. While there are no restrictions of the locations when it comes to BC PNP, you will receive higher points if you are going for a rural area or a less populated area. So, process. How do we materialize everything we discussed about the new BC PNP program and bring it into reality and see how the steps are going to be in terms of both the provincial level and the federal level application? The first step, which is the preparation. You need to understand what's the business. You need to research the business. You need to research the location, as we discussed. What's the type of the industry or the type of the business, the products, and everything related into your business. Here, you don't need a business plan since day one. What you need is something called a business brief. You need to have a summary, around 1,000 or 1,500 words when it comes to the business concept that you're bringing in. But you need to clarify each and every single one of the points that are going to be asked of you as you register for the system. So you research the business, you understand the location, and if possible, if you go to British Columbia on an exploration visit, that will actually give you more points. Now, you will not get a support letter from the province to come and visit. This becomes your responsibility. You can just apply for a visit visa, come to BC, check the different locations, understand how the business is going to be implemented, and then you'll be receiving a few points for that. Now, the exploration visit is not mandatory, but A, it's recommended, and B, you can get some points for it. So if you can, great. If not, then this is not a prerequisite for the program. So you understand what's going on. You select the business, you select the location, you gather up all your thoughts, you understand exactly what you need to do, and then you create your business brief, you're good to go, and you go into step 2, which is the registration process. Showing your intent to wanting to apply for that PNP program. Now remember, showing the intent or entering a pool, that does not mean that you have applied for the program. That becomes in a step 3, which we'll be able to cover. So step 2 is the registration process or the registration level. You create an online profile with BC PNP for the entrepreneurship program. You receive a certain points based on all the answers that you've submitted in the profile. You enter your net worth, an amount of investment, the business brief, etc., etc., etc. You pay the online registration fees, which is an electronic payment. You wrap that up, it's good to go, and you submit your profile, not application. You submit your profile. This profile then will be checked into 2 different levels: your personal factors and your business concept factors. Your personal factors, you're going to get an answer for that right away. Right when you submit the profile, there you go. These are the points for your personal factors. The business factors, you will be receiving your points for that within 30 days from the day that you submit your online profile. So within 30 days, you are going to receive your final score for both the business concept and also the personal factors. Now you have entered the pool, which now takes you to the next level. The pool, you're going to sit in that for 6 months. This is the duration you're allowed to stay in the system. After 6 months, if you do not get an invitation to apply, if you don't get drawn, you don't get selected, your profile is going to expire, and then you're going to have to submit a new profile, a new application for the program. Within these 6 months, if you receive an invitation to apply, this is when you go to step 3, which is the application. That's when your BC PNP entrepreneurship application gets submitted. So far you submitted an online profile, you're registered, you get an invitation to apply, now you can go ahead and apply. In your application, you're going to now give in the evidence of everything that you said you're going to do and everything that you have promised that you are actually eligible for. Most importantly, net worth. What is your net worth? You need to go to a qualified supplier and get your verification report from that supplier. Usually it takes 60 days for that report to be given to you. Now remember, the day that you get your ITA, your invitation to apply, you have 120 days, 4 months, to submit your BC PNP application. So 60 days is going to go for the net worth verification report, and then you continue on to submit your BC PNP application and go on to the next step. Once you get that application in, the government is most probably, or the province is most probably going to get back to you with around 90 days with a final answer. What's the final answer? Great, you are going to be selected, and then now you can go ahead and execute the plan that you have promised to do. What does that mean? You're going to receive a work permit based on a support letter that the province is going to give you. So after the ITA, you submit your documents, your verification report for your net worth, everything is good to go. Approval received for BC PNP entrepreneurship for your business brief that you've submitted. Great. At that point, you have given them all the details that they require, and the province is going to give you something called a support letter, which you will take to the CIC office to apply for a work permit. You will receive a work permit for 2 years, which is the amount of time that you will be able to use to execute the plan that you have given to the government and ensure that you have hired that one job and then invested the minimum requirement that went into the plan. That takes you to step number 4. Step number 4 is you arriving to British Columbia using your work permit. You come in, you look around, you settle in. Within 60 days, you have to submit an arrival report to the province saying, I'm here. Start your plan. You have 18 to 20 months to execute the plan. Invest, start the business, hire one full-time employee, and then go ahead and submit something called a final report to the province within 18 to 20 months. Taking into account that the one full-time employee you're going to have needs to be employed and needs to be with you for a minimum of at least 6 months from the day that you submit the final report. So yes, you're going to keep that employee for the whole entire duration, but the last 6 months, that person has to be there. So you cannot have an employee for over 1 year and then you let go of them, and then 8 or 9 months later you submit your final report. No. That employee needs to be there for the last 6 months prior to submitting your final report. So you submit your final report in 18 to 20 months. The province is going to check, make sure that everything is good to go. You have met all the requirements of the program and everything that you promised you're going to do. And they tell you, congratulations, now you're going to get nominated. At this point, you receive your certificate of nomination. This certificate of nomination is your key to receive your permanent residency from CIC. So you take the certificate of nomination, go to CIC, pass all the admissibility checks, which is security and health, make sure that your profile is good to go, and then you go ahead and get your confirmation of permanent residency from CIC, get your permanent residency card, and you're good to go. And this is the path of receiving permanent residency through BC PNP. So, to summarize, you have to enter an online registration system, get a certain number of points, go into a certain pool, compete against other candidates in the same pool based on the industry you selected, get an invitation to apply. After you do that, then you go ahead and submit an actual application for the BC PNP entrepreneurship scheme. Submit that with your business details and concept, and then go ahead and receive a work permit, fly to British Columbia, start your business, hire somebody, keep that one employee for the duration of the plan. For 18 to 20 months, submit your final report, get your certificate of nomination, apply with CIC, receive your permanent residency. So if you look at the duration, you could potentially achieve that in around 2 to 3 years. So you can get your permanent residency in Canada through the BC PNP entrepreneurship program within 2 to 3 years. The beauty of this program is it's your money, it's your investment, it's your own decision making. You're involved in the business, you're involved in the decision making, you're actively managing the business. So you decide what happens. You decide on how much profit you're going to make. You decide on what is the return on investment you're going to make. You're going to decide on the success rate of this business because it's your plan and then you're going to execute it. Yes, you can hire a manager, manage the manager kind of a scenario. But at the end of the day, the decision making is yours. You're not taking your money and giving it to a third party to manage that business for you, and then one just might run the business to the ground. You make these decisions. So it's a very unique program. It's a very interesting program that allows you to immigrate through business management. So I hope this program was beneficial to you. I hope the information was given to you clarifies a lot of the points that are being asked of us nowadays about the new BCMP entrepreneurship program. And if you have any questions or if you have any concerns about this immigration program to Canada or any other program in Canada, do email us, do call us. We're available to answer your questions and assist you through any process that you require. And we look forward to communicating with you in the near future.